So thanks for joining. So my talk today will be more about controlling the data, so about the data engineering side. I'll first talk about the data tool stack we have, and then why actually we need to automate the governance in BI tools, and the type of governance we currently have already in production. One is the automatic permission systems, another one is documentation synchronization, and the third and important one for me is the curve adjustment on schema changes. A little bit about me just before. So my name is Patricia. I am a data engineer, analytics engineer at Wemolo. Wemolo is a startup here in Munich. We have around 250 people working there. And yeah, so I'm originally from Brazil. That's why the accent. But I've been living in Germany for a very long time already. So, and I did my master's in here as well. Yeah, and probably I should say the dog is Luna. This is my dog, by the way. So a very, very, very simplified data stack that we have. So we have way more than that. Just to explain a little bit our situation, we have sources, many sources. We have like Postgres, we have Salesforce, we have Personio. We sync everything using mostly Python, but also other tools in the middle. We have orchestration tool, which is called Daxter. If you don't know, it's fine. It's similar to Airflow. And then we sync everything to one main warehouse, which is BigQuery. And then we have something connected to BigQuery, which is Metabase. Metabase is our BI tool. This talk specifically will be more about this stack here. So we sync Personio using Python and Daxter, and then we sync everything to Metabase. But what is Metabase? So we talk about Metabase a lot because this is our BI tool. It does not mean that you need Metabase at all, but this is what we show to the end users, and users our internal users. It's a BI tool, like it's a business intelligence tool. We use it as self-service analytics, which means everybody in the company have access to it, and they should have access to it, to the data that they need to do self-services. We have one data analysis in the whole company of 250 people. That's why Metabase is super important for us, because it's where people do the analysis. And this is the welcome page. So they see the collection, so they see what they can see here. They have like a button to ask the question. So, and they also have the dashboards that they recently accessed to. Okay. So I said we have this BI tool. We have this BI tool as self-service analytics, which means why do we need automatic governance? Is because we have 250 people using the same data, and we have one data analysis. So we need somehow to not every time somebody new enters the company, we need automatic system. So we have the people should have permissions to the data that they need access to the data to, but not the data that they don't need access to. Which means we need to get the permission automatically when people need at the position, at the time, at the point in time. So if they are promoted, they have different kind of access as well to the data, for example, or change teams as well. One example, we have a new user that enters, the department is sales, the position is lead. This means to us is that they need access to the sales collection, so everything that is relating to sales, and the permissions editor and view, for example, because they are lead, so they need to edit as well. Maybe somebody below, they don't need edited, but just view permission. This is the kind of permission we're talking about. Another thing is documentation synchronization. So documentation is super important for everything. And I don't like to copy and paste. So I would not go copy and paste all the documentation to every single positions that we have access to. So we write the documentation once, and this is synchronized everywhere, including Metabase. So we do the documentation in a YAML file, and this is version control, of course, in GitLab, and then everything is synchronized through the BI tool, so to be shown in Metabase. One example, a simple example, we have a column, and then we have a simple description in the YAML file. The same thing would happen in Metabase, so we have the column name, the original column name, because in Metabase they remove the underscore, and then they also put like uppercase in the first column. And the same description that we have in the YAML file, we have in metabase, we also have in BigQuery the same description. So it's everywhere the same description. And one single point of entry. The third one is query adjustment on schema changes. This is interesting because we use this a lot, like a lot. Companies changes throughout time. Does the names changes in the columns, the ideas behind the columns, logic also changes, and we need something to automatically change everything. For example, we have one select statement, like with a column name that is old, is not anymore up to date because the company changed the name, which happened. So we need to update to the new name. How to do that? If it's like in Git, it's easy, but in BI too, it's not so easy. And this is the third and last, and to me, most important part of this data governance. Permission system. As I said, we have many sources. One of them is Personio. The Personio is our HR system. We don't get much data from it. We just get the name of the person, the email, the team, and the position, and if it's active or not as well. And then we sync this through BigQuery. And from BigQuery, we have another system that from Python as well that links this permission to metabase, and then metabase is updated automatically according to the new information that we get from Personio. Yeah, so this is more or less what I said. So we have some information from Personio, and we have this schedule as well using Daxter, which is just the orchestration, right? It's just a scheduler to sync daily to BigQuery. And this is more how less it looks like at the moment. We have sources. This is only one of the sources we have in here, but we have many sources. And we have just one Python file of the sources. And more or less how it looks like, we have the URL base. Personio has a v2 already. We are using still v1 for reasons. It doesn't matter. But yeah, so we have the Personio stream. And then we just parse the response according to our expectations. And then we have the employees class that actually inherits from the Personio stream. And we have the specific path for the employee, so company employees, right? And then we have the final abstraction of the Personio source, which is the combination of the authentication to Personio and all of the endpoint that we need. And this specifically, we only use the employees endpoint. This is super easy. And then with this information, we can get the current and most updated information of the people we have in our company. And then we update metabase every 5 minutes. The 5 minutes is a discussion. We don't need every 5 minutes, but people can enter metabase throughout the time, whenever they want, and things can update actually quite often as well. And this is why we updated metabase, the current permission, every 5 minutes. So the same repository, we have now the resources, which is the metabase, and we have the scheduler. Let's talk about the metabase. Here is when Pydantic enters in our presentation. Daxter actually inherits these configurable resources, which is what we can connect to metabase. Actually, we can connect to the users. We can configure a resource, and this is inherited by Pydantic. So simple connection to metabase is just an API key. It doesn't have much. We create a metabase client, and then we can have to get the current users from metabase to see everything that is active already there. And then we have to add the user to the group, and this is a post request then to connect to metabase. Okay, this is the new user group that this user has, because I have the ID of the user in metabase as well. The scheduler is what connects everything together. We have the personal data. We get the personal data. We now have to get also the metabase IDs of the users in metabase. With the user of the metadata from metabase, the user IDs more specifically, we can join these two users by email, because this is unique. And then we just update the users in Metabase with the new permission group that they need to. And this is, again, the scheduler is like 5 minutes. And Metabase resource is the API key that we need to provide it. This is permission. A second one is more easy, is the documentation synchronization. As I said, we're using everything in YAML file. Why the information in YAML file is because we're using dbt for all the models. dbt is a data build tool. And dbt has already everything in YAML file. So we're just using what dbt provides us to have the information everywhere and synchronization everywhere. The same description in all of the tools that we have contact to the end users. Metabase has also some metadata, so we can add more things. One example is if we need some points of interest or like some caveats of the data, which is updated daily, for example, updated hourly, updated every 10 minutes. We can have that in the YAML file, and in Metabase would be automatically updated. Whatever we do in the YAML file would be in Metabase. This is easier because we didn't do ourselves, so we just use the library. But it is nice that we don't need to do everything, I think. All right, the last, not least, is the curve adjustment on schema changes. This is when you change column names or table names. It's exactly this situation. Maybe you never see Metabase in your life, or you're using other BI tools. This is more or less how you create a question in Metabase. You choose first your table. So we have parking lots as clients, so you do the parking lots, and then we do any filter. And then you do summarization with the column, and then you do a sorting. What's the problem with this is a clicking, right? So I clicked in the table, I click in the column name to do the filter, I click on the counting, and then I do the sorting. If I change a column name, this will actually say unknown field. If I change a column name in my BigQuery, in my data warehouse, it will say, okay, unknown field, I don't know what this field is. I could go to all the questions and then change manually. It's fine, but it's a lot of hard work. And I can also not rename things. It's also fine, it's a decision, but that's not what we wanted. And another problem is if you change a table name and you click in the same question, instead of parking lots, I choose stations, Metabase deletes everything, even though I have the same schema. I can have the same column names in the new, but it deletes everything, all the filters, all the summarization, all the sorting. It simply have to start from scratch. That's why we have this automation. Yeah, and we have 13,000 questions currently in Metabase, even though we have 250 people. So we have a lot of things in Metabase. We are using the same API, the same access, the same client as we were doing the governance. Obviously, we wouldn't do everything from scratch again, right? For the same reason. But Metabase is also, it has limitations, let's say like this. And one of them is the API. We don't have, for example, an API to get the column names in Metabase. We have an API to get the full database. Our database has 400 tables, and each table has, I don't know, like 100 columns or something like this. These take some time to load. And if we would do it for, I did it last week for around 28 columns. If you're doing this loading every time for each column that you're doing renaming, it will take like forever, some hours actually. And I don't want that. And this is where actually we started to make it more, let's say, robust. And we're using a little bit of more Pydantic in here. So we are doing memorization. So we are doing a cached of the ID. So each time that I'm renaming one column, I load all the data, fine. But then the second time, it doesn't load anymore. So the first time is a little bit slow. But then the second time is just like way faster. Yeah. And yeah, that's it. That's all the presentation.